Hey everyone, it's Lexi, and today I'm going to be doing a review and discussion of Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. So this is the fourth book in the Throne of Glass series, and this is by far the biggest of the books so far. The third book was pretty big, but this is well over 650 pages. It's massive, but I was able to finish it in like a week and a half. So this will be a spoilery discussion, so if you don't want anything spoiled, then I recommend you check out of this now. So to start out, I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the direction this series was going. My initial response, this book was amazing, but when I looked back on it, I did realize some things that I did have problems with. The first one was Kale, and just if you look at the past 3 books, all his character development that he had, it makes it seem like it was all for nothing, especially he kind of redeems himself towards the end where he sacrifices himself for Elena and Dorian. But I feel like that loyal character that we've grown to love, he was no longer there. And I can understand how in the experience in the throne room with the king and all that, I can see how that have changed him. But Aelin and Kale, were on good terms when they left, and that's what I don't understand. he was so mad at her for all the things that happened, and she had nothing to do with it, really. So, yeah, it's I had a big thing. It was very out of character, and I don't understand why it was very necessary for him to be like that, especially when he called, Aelin, a monster. That was, I feel I don't know, I felt uncharacteristic of him, but he does redeem himself in the end, and I think that's what matters. Hopefully we'll kind of see him come back to normal in the last 2 books, and especially for Dorian. He wasn't present in this novel as much. You do get glimpse of his lucidness within with the demon inside him, and I don't know, I feel I would have been fine if they killed him off, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird though how Dorian wasn't able to show his true self when he was with Aelin, and Aelin was gonna kill him, but he was able to show his true self with Manon. So I don't know how I felt about that, but especially I really enjoyed Manon's storyline in that. I know in the last book, up until the last 2 chapters, I didn't really like her storyline, but I especially enjoyed it now, especially what is her name? Elide, I think her name is, who ends up being having connection to Aelin as well. I really enjoyed that, and just how Manon starts to think for herself and kind of realize that maybe her grandmother isn't right, and she kind of develops that soul and that heart that she's always questioned that she had. So, a big part of this book was the romance between Rowan and Aelin. And I was hoping, from the end of the 3rd book, I thought they would just be friends. And, I feel like Aelin needs, that good, guy friend now that kind of Kale was off to his own thing and then Dorian was possessed. But I feel I wanted it to just be a regular friendship, nothing romantic, and then all of a sudden this primitive Fae thing, and I don't know, I don't know, I feel their relationship won't work out. I don't think it will. I hope it doesn't. I feel none of the boys, none of the guy characters in this series are worth it for Aelin. I feel she can do better than Rowan. I don't know, but I did like the kind of the flirting side of it. I found it was funny, when they have conversations in their head, especially when they go to Robin's house and they're having the conversation, and they're talking about her dress, and how she's not wearing underwear, and he bonks the table. That one was kind of funny. But other than that, I don't want them to be a couple. I don't know why. Tell me, let me know in the comments below if you agree with me, but I don't know. I feel like I'd rather have them just friends than just kind of as a couple. I especially love the character of Lysandra. I really liked her. I haven't read The Assassin's Blade yet, so I didn't get to see that side of her before. Before she initially when she was introduced into the series, but I really liked her character. I found especially how And she kind of has that strong friendship with Aelin, and I think that's something that Aelin needs, especially after everything that happened with Aelin. And especially during the fighting scene, I was like, oh my goodness, they're gonna kill her off. Oh, I was getting ready for it, but it worked out in my favor in the end. And the fact that she's a shapeshifter will be very interesting. I can't wait to see like kind of how they utilize it at the like further into the series, and just kind of her character and how Aelin let her be the one to kill Robin. I thought that was interesting. And like the whole like and all of Aelin's plan, like how everything just kind of worked out in the end. I was like, I'm waiting for something to go wrong, but it didn't. So yeah. And I especially like kind of like the romance between Rowan and Aedion. And I don't know, like I feel like I love how in the beginning they're just kind of all like button heads and trying to be like the alpha male, but then they end up being like funny, and there's kind of their conversation back together. And yeah, like how they grow to kind of end up being like brothers, and instead of competing with each other, they kind of work together. And I don't know about you, but I ship Aedion and Lysandra, especially at the end when they're kind of with that panther thing that she turns into. I can't remember, snow leopard or something. I don't remember, but like just with that one was really funny. So I hope they end up being a couple, and especially like with the whole Robin thing, like you really hate this character, and I'm surprised that like Aelin like held it together for so long while they were in there. Like I was especially surprised with Keltane's character, like in her development, and how she was the one who was kind of like playing along with the Duke and all that stuff, and how she kind of had like the last word and just blew the whole place down. That was like my favorite part of the whole book. And it's, but like I don't know, I feel bad for like how I felt about her in like the first book, but she was a completely different character back then, and I think like her character growth was something that like at the end, like that's probably one of my favorite parts that I've from this book so far. And I don't know, I'm kind of thinking, you know, she's so powerful that maybe she didn't end up dying at the end. Who knows? But my hopes are that she's still alive somehow. I must say, like, Aelin, I thought she was a very, like, I was surprised with her character as well. She was very, like, you can kind of see, like, how, like, kind of her character development, especially, like, you see, like, when the other books, how she's always buying things for herself, and how she has, like, this obsessive amount of clothes, but now, like, she only buys things for the people around her, and I thought that was kind of, like, a good way to show the character growth, and how she is slowly kind of growing into her role as the queen, and just seeing her transformation, especially from the first book, and how she was kind of very self-centered and just stuck in her ways and like very arrogant, and how we do see like kind of her quirks from like the first book, but now she's more mature, and she kind of realizes that the fate of her country and her like nation are on her shoulders. And I was like super surprised that the king wasn't really the bad guy after all. It was the Duke who got possessed by the bad thing. I forget, like their names are just so weird. There's too many words with A's. There's too many names with A's, and then the other ones I just get mixed up. But like whoever the bad guy is, Erewhon, I think his name is. I don't know. You can tell I don't remember the names after I read them, but yeah, especially like with that, like I was completely surprised. I don't know. Especially like how like it completely throws off the plot, especially now that like Manon is stuck like working for them. I'm curious to see how that's gonna all play out. I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like that's very similar to like the Lord of the Rings, and how like there's that evil place with like the rings. But like I don't know, that's what I thought about. I'm like, this is kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings. So let me know if you thought that too. Like, aside from, like, the few issues that I did have with it in terms of, like, the character development and, like, some of, like, the plot lines, I really enjoyed this book. The pacing of this book was really good. Like, I know with the last one, Air of Fire, it was really slow and kind of boring, and it picks up within, like, the last 100 chapters. But this one was good. You kind of get, like, the planning, and then something big would happen, and then planning again, and then like the big thing at the end. And I felt that was really enjoyable to read. I read like the last 200 pages in like one sitting. I was like, I need to get through this. And yeah, so like I feel like the part that made the book for me is like the kind of like the supporting characters, like this Lysandra, Manon, Elide and Aedion, and like I felt like that, like I found like the supporting characters to be much more enjoyable than like the main characters, especially because I was kind of mad at Kale for like the first like 90% of the book, and then also like kind of the Rowan Aelin romance. But other than that, I really enjoyed this book. Let me know in the comments below what you guys felt about it and how, like, if you kind of agree with me with some of the problems that I did have. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.